How can I assume that laughter is better than crying? That's a big assumption there. Maybe somebody needs to get in touch with suppressed grief from 10 years back and needs to cry their hearts out. And if you're willing to go one step further, then like the Sufi master, you say, I surrender. I surrender. I surrender my happiness. I surrender my pain. I surrender my confusion. There are four, I learned from the Hawaiian tradition, there are 4 levels of consciousness: victimhood, empowerment, surrender, and awakening. So victimhood is when you're feeling the whole world is oppressing you. Your family is oppressing you. The government is oppressing you. Your employees are oppressing you. Everyone is disappointing you and oppressing you. This is victim consciousness. Second one is empowerment. We say, no, forget about them. I'm going to focus on what I want. I'm going to focus on what I want to achieve. So a lot of self-help coaching and all comes in this realm. Let's focus on, let's do it. What do you want? Let's break it down into steps. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Fantastic. It's a great movement forward. But there's a big assumption here. And the assumption is that you know what you want. And so often, having achieved it all, we still feel empty. We're like, what? I just spent 20 years. I bought my own house. I've got my own company. I'm married to the person I wanted to be married to. And still there's a gaping hole in the middle of my being. What the hell is this about? And that's when you realize, do I even know? The great saint, Christian saint said, there are more tears shed for answered prayers than for unanswered prayers. So that's when you come to humility and say, maybe I don't even know what I want. Like in my own case, I told you in the beginning, I would write down these intentions and they would come true. Like I'd write an intention saying, at the end of my talk today, someone came and shook my hands and said, that was the best talk I ever heard. Someone came and shook my hands and said, I've been coming here for 20 years and I've never heard a talk like that. And literally exactly that would happen. Someone would come and say, I've been coming here for so long. That's the best talk I ever heard. And that would be exactly, so empowerment, I was fully empowered. I was creating my life the way I wanted and still a gaping hole in the center of my being. And so then I come to surrender. I said, do I even know what I want? How can I assume, like for example, how can I assume that for the audience to laugh a lot tonight is the best for them? How can I assume that? Maybe there's someone in the audience who needs to cry a lot tonight. How can I assume that laughter is better than crying? That's a big assumption there. Maybe somebody needs to get in touch with suppressed grief from 10 years back and needs to cry their hearts out. How can I assume that laughing a lot tonight is better than crying a lot tonight? That's an assumption on my side. So to even release, surrender, that agenda-lessness, that, I'm going to show up and I'm going to let life take over. And like this, we come to the 4th level of consciousness, which is awakening. In awakening, even the separation between me and life, me and you, this and that, body and mind, all these concepts start dissolving. And there's just one seamless experience of life. You go from wave to water. We'll appear like different waves. Actually, it's all water. Wave is a concept. And that recognition that, I'm using these words like me and you and this and that, but actually there's just this. There's just what is. And then you become a disciple of what is. You merge into what is. You become life itself. That's the journey. And we can start with something as simple as saying something nice to yourself in the mirror.
That is truly a complete journey from victimhood to awakening. And the best thing is just start in the mirror and say, I accept myself exactly as I am. There's nothing
just for
wrong
today.
with me, and
Just for today. What if there's nothing wrong with me?